feeling a little off after a snack you thought was healthy. Maybe something feels heavy in your stomach, or you just don't feel the vibrant energy you expect when you're trying to eat well. It can be frustrating, can't it? You're making conscious choices and reaching for foods that are always talked about as being good for you. Yet sometimes they just don't seem to agree with your body the way they used to, or the way you hoped they would. We're told nuts are powerhouses of nutrition, full of good fats, protein, and fiber, and they absolutely can be. But here's a surprising truth: not all popular nuts are equally beneficial for everyone, especially as we navigate our incredible journey through our 60s and beyond. Our bodies change, and the way we process certain foods shifts too. What was perfectly fine in your 30s or 40s might subtly, or not so subtly, be causing a bit of discomfort or even hindering your health goals now. There are some very common nuts that you might be snacking on regularly, thinking you're doing yourself a favor that could actually be working against you. In this video, we're going to uncover 3 popular nuts you might want to approach with caution, and we'll explore why they might not be the best choice for you at this stage of life. Understanding the why behind these recommendations is key, because it's not about restriction. It's about making informed choices that truly support your well-being. Stick with me to the very end, because what we discuss might just surprise you and give you a completely new perspective on your snack choices. So, let's dive right into the first one. A nut, or perhaps more accurately, a legume often treated like a nut that's a staple in many pantries and snack bowls: the humble peanut. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Peanuts, but they're everywhere. Peanut butter sandwiches, trail mix, just a handful as a quick snack. They're affordable, convenient, and packed with protein. For years, we've heard about their benefits. They contain resveratrol, the antioxidant found in red wine, and they offer a decent amount of niacin, which is good for energy and nerve function. They have some fiber and healthy fats. So, what's the potential issue, especially for us over 60? Well, there are a few layers to this, and it's not about declaring peanuts universally bad, but understanding the nuances and potential drawbacks. Firstly, as I mentioned, peanuts are technically legumes, like beans and lentils, not true tree nuts like almonds or walnuts. This distinction might seem small, but it matters because legumes contain compounds like lectins and phytic acid. While present in many plant foods, these can be particularly high in legumes if not prepared properly, like soaking and cooking, which we don't usually do with roasted peanuts. For some people, especially as digestive systems can become a little more sensitive or less robust with age, these compounds can potentially irritate the gut lining, interfere with the absorption of certain minerals like zinc, iron, and calcium, or contribute to digestive discomfort like bloating and gas. It's not a guarantee, but it's a possibility worth considering if you find peanuts don't always sit well. Beyond the legume aspect, peanuts have a few other considerations. One major point of concern, particularly with conventionally grown and stored peanuts, is the potential for contamination with a substance called aflatoxin. Aflatoxins are toxins produced by certain moles Aspergillus species that can grow on crops like peanuts, corn, and other grains, especially under warm, humid conditions. These molds can develop if the peanuts aren't stored correctly or if they are damaged. Aflatoxins are potent toxins, and chronic exposure, even at low levels over time, is concerning because they are known carcinogens and can affect liver health. While regulatory bodies in many countries monitor aflatoxin levels in commercial food products, zero contamination is difficult to achieve, and quality can vary. For an aging body, where detoxification processes might be less efficient, minimizing exposure to potential toxins like aflatoxins becomes even more relevant. Choosing high-quality, organic peanuts from reputable sources stored properly cool, dry place can reduce this risk, but the potential is still there in the food chain. Another nutritional aspect to consider with peanuts is their fatty acid profile. While they contain monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats, they are notably high in omega-6 fatty acids. Omega-6 fats are essential for our health, but the key is the balance between omega-6 and omega-3 fatty acids in our diet. Modern Western diets tend to be heavily skewed towards omega-6, often from vegetable oils used in cooking and processed foods, including many roasted peanuts. An imbalance with too much omega-6 relative to omega-3 is associated with increased inflammation in the body. Chronic low-grade inflammation is implicated in many age-related health issues, from heart disease to cognitive decline and joint pain. While eating a handful of raw peanuts isn't likely to throw your balance completely off, if peanuts and peanut butter are a significant daily source of fat for you, and you're not consciously increasing your omega-3 intake from sources like fatty fish, flax seeds, or walnuts, the peanuts could be contributing to an inflammatory environment. As we age, managing inflammation becomes increasingly crucial for maintaining mobility, cognitive function, and overall vitality. Finally, let's talk about how peanuts are often consumed. Most peanuts we eat are roasted, and often they are roasted in oils that might be high in omega-6 themselves, or they are heavily salted or sweetened. Excessive salt intake is a well-known concern for blood pressure management, which is particularly important in older age. Added sugars contribute empty calories and can negatively impact metabolic health. Even dry roasted peanuts can be very calorie-dense, and it's easy to overconsume them without realizing how many calories and fats you're taking in, which can be a factor if you're trying to manage your weight. So, while a raw, unsalted peanut in moderation might be less problematic from a processing standpoint, the majority of peanuts consumed come with these added considerations, considering the potential for digestive irritation due to lectins, phytic acid, the concern about aflatoxin exposure, the contribution to a potentially unbalanced omega-6 to omega-3 ratio, and the common issues with processing unhealthy oils, salt, sugar. Peanuts, despite their popularity and protein content, might not be the optimal choice for everyone over 60, especially if consumed regularly or in large quantities, or if you experience digestive sensitivity. Exploring other nut options might offer similar nutritional benefits with fewer potential drawbacks specific to the aging body's needs and sensitivities. Now that we've taken a careful look at peanuts and some of the reasons they might not be the best fit for everyone as we get older, let's turn our attention to another incredibly popular nut. You find them in snack mixes, often used in cooking for their creamy texture. And they can be quite addictive to munch on. I'm talking about cashews. Cashews have a different nutritional profile and set of considerations compared to peanuts. And while they offer some lovely benefits, there are specific aspects that warrant caution for the over 60 crowd. Cashews are technically seeds that grow on the cashew apple fruit, but nutritionally and culinarily, they are treated as nuts. They provide a good amount of healthy monounsaturated fats, some protein, and minerals like copper, magnesium, and zinc. Copper is important for energy production and iron metabolism, magnesium for muscle and nerve function, and zinc for immune health, all vital functions as we age. However, despite these positives, cashews have a few characteristics that make them less ideal for some older adults. Particularly concerning minerals and metabolism, one significant point about cashews is their relatively high oxalate content compared to many other nuts. Oxalates are natural compounds found in many plant foods like spinach, rhubarb, and indeed, nuts like cashews and almonds. For most people, oxalates are harmlessly processed by the body and excreted. However, in individuals susceptible to kidney stones, particularly calcium oxalate stones, consuming high oxalate foods can contribute to stone formation. The risk of kidney stones tends to increase with age and dehydration, which can also be more common in older adults, further concentrates urine and increases risk. While not everyone is susceptible to oxalate-related issues, if you have a history of kidney stones or are prone to them, the higher oxalate content in cashews is something to be aware of and potentially limit. Furthermore, oxalates can bind to minerals like calcium and magnesium in the digestive tract, potentially reducing their absorption. Although the overall impact on nutrient status from a balanced diet is generally considered minor for most people. Still, for older adults, where nutrient absorption can sometimes be less efficient, minimizing factors that might interfere with mineral uptake is prudent. Another point of note is the fat profile of cashews. While they contain healthy monounsaturated fats, they also contain a slightly higher proportion of saturated fat compared to other popular nuts, like walnuts or almonds, while the stance on saturated fat has evolved. And saturated fat from whole plant sources is viewed differently than that from processed foods or animal products, focusing on sources higher in unsaturated fats, particularly monounsaturated and omega-3s, is generally recommended for cardiovascular health, which remains a primary concern as we age. Cashews aren't high in saturated fat by most standards, but compared to the stellar profiles of walnuts or almonds, it's a relative point worth considering if you eat a lot of nuts. Perhaps more significantly, like peanuts, cashews are almost always sold roasted and often heavily processed. Raw cashews contain a substance called urushiol, the same compound found in poison ivy, oak, and sumac, which is why they must be roasted or steamed to remove it before being sold as edible. The roasting process itself, especially if done at high temperatures or using added oils, can impact the nutritional quality. Furthermore, roasted cashews are frequently coated in salt or various seasonings, which adds sodium or potentially unhealthy additives. As discussed with peanuts, excess sodium intake is a major concern for blood pressure, a condition highly prevalent among older adults. Choosing unsalted, dry roasted cashews is a better option if you do eat them. But even then, the roasting process itself can slightly degrade some of the more delicate nutrients. Additionally, the creamy texture of cashews comes from a higher carbohydrate and lower fiber content compared to many other nuts, while still a healthy food overall. If you're eating nuts specifically for fiber or to manage blood sugar, other nuts might be a more efficient choice. For older adults managing blood sugar levels, being mindful of the overall carbohydrate load of snacks, even healthy ones, is important, considering the potential for higher oxalates affecting susceptible individuals, the slightly less favorable fat profile compared to some other nuts, the necessity of processing which often involves added salt or oils, and the higher carbohydrate, lower fiber ratio. Cashews, while delicious and nutritious in some ways, might not be the optimal daily go-to nut for everyone over 60. Awareness of these points allows you to make a more informed decision about whether they fit into your personal health plan, or if other nuts might offer a better return on your nutritional investment without these specific potential drawbacks. Now, let's move on to the third nut on our list. This one is often lauded for a single, very important nutrient, almost to the exclusion of everything else. You might eat just one or two a day specifically for this benefit. I'm talking about the Brazil nut. Brazil nuts are large, creamy, and distinctive, and their claim to fame is being the most potent dietary source of selenium. Selenium is an essential trace mineral that acts as a powerful antioxidant, supporting thyroid function, immune health, and potentially playing a role in preventing certain cancers. All of these functions are incredibly important as we age, and indeed, eating just one or two Brazil nuts can easily provide, or even exceed, the recommended daily allowance of selenium for an adult. This sounds fantastic. Right. You get a vital nutrient easily from a natural source. However, this is precisely where the caution comes in. The concentration of selenium in Brazil nuts is not standardized. It varies greatly depending on the soil composition where the trees are grown. Brazil nuts grown in selenium-rich soils can contain extremely high amounts of the mineral, while one or two nuts might provide a healthy dose. Eating just a few more, or eating one or two very high selenium nuts consistently every day, can quickly lead to consuming excessive amounts of selenium. And unlike some nutrients where your body simply excretes the excess, selenium can be toxic in high doses. This is known as selenosis. The symptoms of selenosis can range from relatively mild to quite unpleasant. Early signs often include a garlic-like odor on the breath, metallic taste in the mouth, brittle nails, and hair loss. In more severe cases, it can lead to fatigue, irritability, nausea, vomiting, skin lesions, neurological problems, and in extreme cases, even more serious health issues. For older adults who might have underlying health conditions or be taking medications, and whose metabolic and excretory systems might be less efficient at clearing excesses, the risk of reaching toxic levels from consistent, higher consumption of Brazil nuts is a very real concern. The upper tolerable intake level for selenium for adults is set at 400 micrograms per day. while the selenium content in Brazil nuts varies widely from maybe 50 micrograms up to 500 micrograms. Per nut. Relying on them as a daily source makes it very easy to accidentally exceed this upper limit, especially if you eat more than one or two, or if you get a batch from a particularly selenium-rich region. It's very difficult to know exactly how much selenium is in the specific nuts you are eating unless they've been tested. Contrast this with getting selenium from other dietary sources. Foods like seafood tuna, sardines, poultry, beef, eggs, and sunflower seeds also contain selenium, but in much lower, safer concentrations per serving. You would have to eat very large amounts of these foods to approach toxic levels, which is unlikely in a balanced diet. Using these sources provides selenium alongside many other beneficial nutrients without the specific risk of toxicity associated with the concentrated, variable amount in Brazil nuts. So, while Brazil nuts offer an impressive amount of selenium, their highly variable and potentially extremely high concentration makes them a risky food to consume regularly, especially for older adults who need to be more cautious about nutrient excesses and potential toxicities. Relying on them for your daily selenium needs means constantly playing a guessing game with the amount you're getting. And the consequences of guessing wrong over time can be detrimental. Therefore, while acknowledging their unique selenium contribution, Brazil nuts fall into the category of nuts that might be best avoided or consumed with extreme caution and very limited frequency, perhaps just one nut once or twice a week, if at all by older adults. Getting your selenium from a variety of other foods is a much safer and more reliable strategy for meeting your needs without risking toxicity. This is a classic case where more isn't necessarily better, and a food known for a single benefit carries a significant risk when that benefit is present in an unpredictable, highly concentrated form. So, we've explored 3 nuts that, while popular and often thought of as universally healthy, might warrant caution or moderation as we age. We looked at how peanuts, a popular legume often grouped with nuts, can pose issues ranging from potential digestive irritation and aflatoxin exposure to contributing to an unbalanced inflammatory profile and being often consumed in heavily processed forms. Then we discussed cashews, highlighting their higher oxalate content, which can be a concern for kidney stone susceptibility, their slightly different fat profile, and the common issues with processing involving salt and oils. Finally, we delved into Brazil nuts, specifically focusing on the significant risk of selenium toxicity due to their unpredictable and potentially extremely high selenium concentration, making consistent consumption risky for older adults. It's important to remember that this isn't about fear-mongering or saying these foods are inherently bad for everyone in every situation. It's about understanding that our bodies change, and what might have been perfectly fine or highly recommended in our younger years might need a second look as we get older. Our digestive systems can become more sensitive, our nutrient needs and processing can shift, and susceptibility to certain compounds or excesses might increase. The goal here is awareness, empowering you with the knowledge to make the best choices for your body, your current health status, and your unique needs. Choosing nuts can still be a fantastic part of a healthy diet. The world of nuts offers so many incredible options that don't carry these specific potential drawbacks. Think about walnuts, packed with beneficial omega-3 fatty acids crucial for brain and heart health. Consider almonds, rich in vitamin E, magnesium, and fiber. Pecans offer wonderful antioxidants. Pistachios provide potassium and vitamin B6. These and many other nuts can be wonderful sources of healthy fats, protein, fiber, vitamins, and minerals without the particular concerns we've discussed regarding peanuts, cashews, and Brazil nuts, focusing on a variety of tree nuts, consumed in their raw or lightly dry roasted, unsalted forms, is generally an excellent strategy for harnessing the vast nutritional power of nuts in a way that is most supportive of healthy aging. Navigating healthy eating as we get older is often about finding that balance, being mindful of how different foods make us feel, and staying informed. It's about gentle adjustments, not drastic overhauls unless necessary. If you've been eating peanuts, cashews, or Brazil nuts regularly and haven't experienced any issues, That's valuable information. But if you've had nagging digestive problems, wondered about your nutrient levels, or just want to optimize your diet as much as possible, understanding the potential downsides of even seemingly healthy foods like these is a powerful tool. Ultimately, the best approach to your health is always a personalized one. This information is meant to be a starting point for reflection and perhaps conversation with your healthcare provider or a registered dietitian. They can offer advice tailored specifically to your health history, any conditions you manage, and your overall dietary pattern. They can help you determine if any of these nuts might be contributing to subtle issues you're experiencing, or if other dietary changes might be more beneficial. Making small, informed changes can truly make a significant difference in how you feel every day and in your long-term health. Don't feel overwhelmed. Feel empowered. You have the wisdom of experience. And adding knowledge about how specific foods interact with your body as you age is just another layer to living your most vibrant life. Choosing nourishing foods is an act of self-care, a way of honoring your body and supporting its incredible ability to keep you going strong. We've covered some important ground today about some popular snack foods. I hope this has given you something valuable to think about. I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences. Have you noticed any of these issues with the nuts we discussed? What are your go-to healthy snacks? Share your insights in the comments below. Your experience could be helpful to others in our community. If you found this information helpful and want to learn more about how to support your health and vitality as you get older through simple, practical lifestyle and food choices, please give this video a thumbs up. It really helps us know we're providing content that resonates with you. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our future videos. We're always exploring ways to help you live your best life at every age, feeling energized, healthy, and happy. Thank you for watching. And here's to making informed choices that nourish us from the inside out. Live your best life at every age.